Hello, am I streaming? I do not know. All right. How do I test this? Okay, we're going to assume that we're streaming, okay? Hi guys, so I'm doing something a bit different today. I am doing a live and I'm going to go through what project management is. So I'm going to like peel everything back. So I'm like doing a complete rewind, right, on all my content. And I'm just going to start with what is project management? So I get a lot of questions on LinkedIn specifically. I've connected with a load of people, new project managers, seasoned project managers, and I guess I just want to take this opportunity to start doing lives. I think it's probably the most easiest way for me to get content out there. I am a mum of 3 kids. I'm a wife. I run a project management business as well as freelancing. So I'm like wearing many hats, and editing is another hat that I wear for my content. And I think this is probably the easiest way for me to get content out. Just do a live and upload it. There you go. Bob's your uncle. So that's what we're going to start doing. Okay. So I'm going to I'm going to try and go as frequently as I can. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. So let's start. So I'm going to start by just introducing myself. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Natasha Campbell, and I am a project manager, freelance project manager. I've been freelancing for about 8 years now. At the end of the year, it'll be 8 years exactly. And we look into the camera. It'll be 8 years exactly. And I love project management. I love working to a process driven. PM is who I am. I love a process. I want to create processes. My mind is like box here, box there. Let's put it into a nice process. I just like a process. Okay. So if you're a project manager or you like to tick things off, you like order, your brain thrives on order, then project management is definitely the career path for you. Okay. And then if you want to, freelance, that's another avenue. That's a great avenue. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. Right about now, freelancing is not easy. I feel like the market is maybe just picking up. Like it's been the slowest year for me. I think it's been the slowest start of the year. I mean, I'm still technically on maternity leave, but I'm not because I've started training project managers, which I love, by the way. I've just started doing that and I actually love it. So yeah, it's been I think from January till now, and this is like 5 months in, right? Normally it's quite slow. The freelance market is quite slow for the first couple of months. January is completely slow. If you manage to get a contract from like the previous year and you work through like January, February, then that's amazing. You're so super blessed for that. But if your contract ended like the year before and you're just starting out, the new year trying to find a new contract, it's really difficult. So yeah, so this year out of my whole 8 years has probably been the most challenging. So when I get people asking me about freelancing, I'm just a bit like, oh yeah, go for it, but at the same time just make sure you've got backup money and make sure that you have backup money, because the market is quite saturated at the moment. If you see on LinkedIn a job posting for a freelancer, and you don't get it straight away, you're going to see a lot of people have applied for that role. It's just like I've applied for some roles and it's just like I'm not even hearing back. It's just like this has been the slowest year for me personally. So I'm kind of relying on existing clients that I've already got, which that doesn't guarantee anything because they could pencil you in and it's just like, yeah, they want you for this amount of time starting here, like next month, and they cancel the pencil. Or, something else happens, they're in a rush and you don't get back in time, they'll find someone else. So even that, you got to be really quick. But anyway, I'll do another video on freelancing, a bit more videos on that, I think, in the future. But for now, I'm just going to stick to the project management basics, okay? So yeah, I've given you an introduction to myself. So project management. Yeah, so let's just start with the introduction to project management. So according to PMI, so that's the Project Management Institution. So Project management is the use of specific knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques to deliver something of value to people. So delivering something of value is whatever the client wants, whatever the stakeholder wants. In my industry, okay, so I specialize in the digital sector right now, gaming, so creative. When I say digital sector, that's all things like creative digital assets, right? So what do I mean by that? Because for you new PMs, you might not know what I'm even referring to. So if you were to go onto social media, I'm going to use my most recent client as an example. Go into social media, you could type in Clash of Clans, and then onto Instagram, for example, you might see a whole load of animated designs, right? And I would work in a studio that create those assets. So the studio that I would freelance with or whatever work for, they would have a client. Their client would be Supercell. That's the game. That's the owners of that game. The creators of that game, Supercell, right? So they would send briefs to the creative agency, and say, I want a social media post. I want it in a size 16:9, and I want it to showcase the new character that that we are bringing forth in this season. This character, is very domineering, so we want to have we want an illustration for this game, and then we want the character to be in a domineering pose, blah blah blah. We want birds to be flying around him to showcase, his special guns, which are birds flying forward. This is like a complete imagination, right? This is like my imagination right now. That's the kind of brief you would get, right? And then they'll say, it's for Instagram, and it's also, they might then later on down the line say we want it to be in an animated video as well, blah blah blah. So that's basically that's what I mean when I say to deliver something of value to people. Now, this project of value could be anything. It could be, like I said, that was from the game sector, the typical assets that I work on, right? And it could be a website. It could be a new software. It could be anything, okay? It depends on the sector that you're in. It could be a house. It could be a literal house, okay? All depends on the sector you're in. I've gone down the creative route, okay? So that's what I specialize in. That's what my hands-on project management accelerator program specializes in. So it gives you guys the ability to get hands-on experience managing projects such as illustration, design, and video animation. So I'm currently working with one of my students on a design project right now, which is really cool. I actually really like. I really like it. It's yeah, the assets are so cool, and it's all mock, by the way. It's a mock environment. So like in school, you'd have like a mock test before the real test. It's a mock project, so you get to go through the whole cycle, free live calls with me. You get a load of resources. I'm actually talking through one of the course materials that I give for free. So yeah, I don't want to digress too much, so I'll just crack on now. So yes, so something of value to people. That is the project, okay? It starts off with a request, and I've done many videos on a brief already. So it starts off with a request in the form of a brief, or however a particular company receives the client's request. You take actions. There are steps, actionable steps, like, the specific tasks, the specific steps, the specific processes. There's different elements for different projects that are required. And obviously you need a collaboration of teams around you. That's really important as well. So you can't deliver a project without a team at the end of the day. Project managers, I mean, we are the doers. We are the ones that drive, the project forward, but we're not the actual ones that are, physically creating the assets, creating the house. I mean, we could be the one with that, construction project managers, you ain't the ones that are building the houses, are you? I mean, if you are, then I don't know what you're doing as a project manager. But anyway, I digress. And then the end goal is the achievement. So it's actually the project, so the output, the finished project, the finished, whatever it is. So like I said, for me, the social media asset, that would be the finished, delivered projects. When we say deliverables, it's the output. It's whatever the client wants. That's that. So it's when you're in my sector, I think I think any sector, to be honest, watching a project go from a brief to the actual output is it gives a real sense of achievement, and that's the aspect of it that I love. I feel so proud at the end of it. I mean, I think the only frustrating thing is when it's like there's a really stressful project, and I think that can happen if you've got a client, for example, and it's quite a VIP client, so a client that's very important, a client that the company is really relying on, for their bread and butter, to give them, to pay them at the end of the day. It's a business at the end of the day. So I think when you're working in those type of environments where it's quite pressurizing and the client might be a bit needy, stakeholder might be a bit needy, they're very, on it, that can maybe create a stressful environment for the project manager, for the overall team. So that's where, the the project manager might be stressed in those types of environments. But essentially, and obviously tight timings and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like I'm digressing. So let me try to stick on to the points that I want to talk about in this course, in this live. So yeah, so this is basically, as I mentioned, it's just an introduction, okay, for today, just an introduction into project management and what it actually is. So the importance of a project manager. So I just spoke about what a project is. Now we're talking about the importance of a project manager, right? So the project manager is the one who drives the projects forward, okay? The teams, if you've got like a design team or whatever, whoever you're working with, a development team, developer team, they can't work without the project manager. The project manager is the one that hosts and houses the information that they need to do their work, okay? So we're the ones that drives the project forward. We give them the work, we deal with any of the blockers or the issues that they have, we deal with the questions, we set the meetings up, we collaborate. It's like the project manager, although we lead the project, we are the ones that are, so yeah, although we lead the projects, we still need the people to do the work. So we are driving the project and helping them. It's almost like we're like riding the boat and we're like driving the boat, and then we're helping them on, we're hopping people on, they might get off when their part is done. It's just like, maybe a boat is a bit of you wouldn't want to do that in a boat, would you? Where are you going to drop them off? Maybe a bus would be a better example. That's it, a bus. We drive the bus, get them on, drop them off. So we're leading in that way. And so yeah, we identify the risks, right? There's always something that comes up. It could be simply the fact that the project manager is dealing with so many different projects, right? And then, you might delay one aspect of the project that you're working on, right? One aspect of one project, right? That's going to be a risk to the timings. It could even be the fact that one of the resources that you're working with said that they need 5 days to actually build the website. But in fact, when they started to work, they actually need like 7 or 8 days, and you've only factored in 5 days. And those 5 days is all you can really give, because the project goes live like a day after the 5 days is up. So there's so many risks that can be associated, and it all depends on the type of project that you're working on. I think timeline risks are one of those risks that is across the board. So whatever sector you're in, there could be a timeline risk, for example, okay, because that's something that all project managers have to deal with, timings, okay? And so the project managers are the primary point of contact. So we are the ones, there's any issues, they're going to come knocking on your door. They're going to be like, hey Tash, I need this. Hey Tash, I can't deliver it on time. Hey Tash, what on earth does this mean? You are the one, you are the go-to person. So sometimes it can feel a bit pressurizing in that sense, but I think when you step into that role as a project manager, you're wearing the hat. So you already know, okay, I am the go-to person. So let me make sure that I know exactly what is needed for this project. Let me make sure I know this brief off by heart. Let me make sure I know the timeline off by heart. Let me make sure that, if I don't know something, someone's asking me questions that I haven't got a clue on, I'm going to go and ask someone. I'm going to ask someone else. I've got my project, it could be a project lead, it could be a project, a head of a project management team, it could be just a normal, your co-worker, someone, it could be the design director, it could be the creative director, it could be anybody, right? There's always going to be someone that you can get the answer from. So never feel like you are, I said this to my student the other day, never feel like you're on your own or like you don't know you can't do anything. Never sit on information that someone gives you. If someone says to you, I've got a problem, you are never to just be like, okay, I'll sort it, or, and just sit on that. You have, your approach has to be, okay, leave it with me, and you're going to be the one to find out who to go to, how to solve it. Okay, it's just going to be that challenge for you, but there you are, that person, you are the primary point of contact for that project. Okay, and you need to ensure that the project requirements meet the required quality standard. Okay, so that's you making sure that it's all up to scratch, it's in line with the brief, it's in line, whatever the project is, the output, it is in line with what the client wants at the end of the day. Whether that's you having regular stand-up calls with the client. Stand-up is just a way of you having a scrum, like a meeting with the client, to just give them updates. That's literally it. I mean, sometimes it sounds really technical when you say stand-up, or like a scrum or something, but I mean, we use all these really technical terms, but it's literally a meeting when you give an update to the client. And we track the financial performance. So there's budgets, you might have a tracker, you just keep everything, you make sure that, for example, if one of the resources requires 3 days, and that's what the client has paid for those 3 days, there's no going over those 3 days unless there's something that you have, or someone in the company has arranged with the client. Yeah, and to be fair, all companies work the budgets out quite differently. There's different processes, and different ways people pay. There could be a retainer, it could be, there's different ways that a client will pay for a project. But essentially, the project manager is the one keeping track of that in some kind of a tracker, in some kind of a log. But you might have it arranged, your company might have it arranged that the client, or the stakeholder, only has, for example, like 2 rounds of approvals, for example. So 2 versions, so the files go to them twice, and that's all they get is 2 versions. They have to make sure that they feedback everything in version 1. If they've got more feedback in version 2, that's fine, and that is it. They cannot go over. If they go over, it's more cost, and you as a PM need to keep a track of how many versions that you're doing, because there are some clients that like to take the mick, and they will continue to give feedback and more feedback and more feedback. And you as a PM need to be able to flag this, okay? You need to be tracking this. You need to let someone else know what's happening. You are collaborating. This is probably my favorite word, I think, collaborating. I love a good collaboration because I can't do it by myself. Project managers can't do it by themselves. We need to collaborate with the wider teams, okay? I, as a PM, collaborate with the resource manager if I've got any resourcing problems. So if the team that I'm working with, someone's like, oh my gosh, it's a designer and he's going on holiday and nobody knew, or he's got to go on sick leave, I need someone else to take over that project. The project can't go up in the air because someone's decided to go on holiday. The resource manager is the one that will bring in cover. They'll bring in a freelancer. They'll swap out resources if there's a problem. So you're collaborating with a resource manager. You are collaborating with heads of departments. Okay, these are people that are also in more senior positions than the project manager. So you're collaborating with them as well. You are also, what have I written there? Yeah, you are the one who is engaging with everybody. So the whole aspect of collaboration is fine, and you're also engaging. So you're collaborating with the teams, and then you are being the one to, you're driving the conversations, you're letting them know the vital information, you're engaging with them about the project status, you're communicating with them what's happening in the project. It's simply, I had a mock call, a mock stand-up call with one of the students today, and he did a great like overview of the project in the stand-up call. And one of the things that we spoke about was just keeping it as concise and as brief as possible. I think because sometimes as PMs, I do this all the time as well, we feel like we need to give so much information, and sometimes there's a time for that. Like there really is a time for that, especially if it's like a one-on-one and you're having like a more detailed, it could be a lesson learned or something, or a wrap up at the end of the project. But if it's a stand-up, then most of the time it is just a you're engaging with the other teams, wider teams, and you're just given a complete update on the project. Everybody needs to know that the project is in good hands, it's in safe hands. So you giving the update could simply be you just saying everything's on track, and simply you just reading from the timeline, like where are you at the timeline? Are there any delays? If you're all on track, then just say what the upcoming task is. Everything's all on track. The design work is currently with the client and they're sending their feedback to us tomorrow. That's it. So let's not overcomplicate stand-ups. It's literally just a update on the project. And so yeah. So just to finalize the aspect of what is important, of the importance of a project manager, I want to just give this little overview, a bit of research I've done. And it says, and this is really good actually for those of you that want to get into project management, in the US alone, the number of available project management roles is forecasted to increase from 741,000 in 2018, right, to 832,000 by 2028. Sorry, I don't know where my head went just then. So that translates to approximately 91,000 new positions. The Bureau of Labor Statistics states project management will be among the fastest growing occupation over that period. So that is fantastic news for those of you that are aspiring to get into project management. And that is why I created the hands-on project management accelerator program, because there's going to be so much scope for project managers, right? But the only problem is a lot of these companies are always saying, oh, you need experience, we want someone that's managed this type of project before, or someone that's had. And the annoying thing is sometimes they'll just look at your CV and they'll see that you haven't got relevant experience. And they'll just be like, okay, no, until they see someone that's got experience. So it's quite frustrating, I found. And funnily enough, when I went into project management, I wanted to get into IT. I did IT as a A-level, and I got a B. I did media and I got a C in media, and I can't remember what other degree. That's really bad, isn't it? My A-levels, what did I do? I did business studies, media and IT, and I got a C in media, a C in business, and a B in IT. And I really liked IT, and I went down the route. And when I went to uni, I did media and communications, because I found that was probably the most enjoyable one for me, the most enjoyable project. Sorry, I'm looking at my screen. The most enjoyable work that I worked on. So yeah. So I always wanted to get into IT. That was my actual initial plan, but I ended up just falling back on what I studied, because I gained work experience in media. I began working whilst I was doing my course. I did a sandwich course at Brunel University, so I ended up getting a work experience for a publishing company and a film distributors. So I ended up staying in that field, really, the media, and then venturing into digital and gaming. So yeah, I didn't end up getting into IT in the end. However, I'm quite glad. Everything happens for a reason. I'm glad that I've got to experience the game side of things, because that by far has been my favorite. So anyway, I digress. So yeah, the importance of a project manager. So there's going to be much more opportunities to get roles in project management, which is fantastic for those of you that are aspiring to get into project management. Okay. So yeah, so that is that. I'm thinking whether to do another live tomorrow, and go into a bit more about, yeah, let me just do this. I'm going to just talk about starting a project, because that's still quite an important part of the introduction to project management. So so when you start a project, basically a project is a temporary effort to create something unique, as I mentioned previously, and this can be a product, a service, or results within set times and resource limits. Okay, so I guess I will just give a brief example of this typical type of project, which I've kind of done already, but these are typical projects that I've worked on. And so yeah, video projects, so creating a video animation or a video for example, a brief could say, create a video animation for the Gen Z audiences to engage with our videos so that we can increase our sales. You know, it can be as simple as that for a video animation project. And VR project, which is what I ended up getting into, so creative tech. So I kind of got into a bit of tech, you know, but just more creative tech, which is quite cool as well. I really like this aspect of what I did. It wasn't easy though, jumping into VR from gaming. It's quite similar because, you know, you've got VR lenses and things like that, and you know they host games as well, but yeah, it wasn't easy because there's so much different terminologies and different aspect. But that I guess that's a testimony to show you guys as well that you can jump from sector to sector in project management, like it's still possible. So yeah, um, for example, a VR project could be the creation of a digital lens build to market a new product and to drive traffic to a website to achieve increased sales. So they're all pretty much like in terms of what they're all trying to achieve. They're trying to achieve a specific goal. So yeah, so projects are whatever's of value really to the client, to the person who is paying for it to be done. And I think I'll leave it as that for now. I'm not even sure how long I've been talking for. But yeah, it's quite different doing it this way to actually, you know, a proper video where you're editing the video and stuff. And I feel like I'm talking to myself as well, but I'm not. I'm talking to people. So yeah, hi if you're watching. And I can't see any feedback, any comments or anything. I'm just literally looking at my camera on my laptop, and I've got no mic attached. So yeah, it's a bit different setup, really, but still me. Anywho, that's it for now. So I'm going to be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I'm going to be back and I'm going to talk about, to be fair, I've done a video already on the brief. I might just go over that briefly. No pun intended. I'm going to go over that briefly tomorrow, just understanding the brief, because I've got a video on that already. So it'll probably take like 5 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into project planning, a bit more detail on project planning, and I guess specifically on different elements of it, and yeah, touch on some things I haven't spoken about before, some of the soft skills. But essentially, at the end of the day, I run a PM training company now as well, where I will train PMs, aspiring PMs, on how to work as a project manager, essentially. So you get to work on a project from start to finish, and it's a little bit intense to some degree because the design project is quite tight timing. So if you're used to, you know, you're not going to be sitting on your hands, put it that way. And there's times where, yeah, you're going to put together a timeline, you are going to put together a project plan, you are going to lead kickoff calls, a kickoff call, depending on how many projects you do with me. You'll be leading those calls. It's a mock environment, so you'll be just leading them, and that's it. And I guess it's just a way for you as the PM to gain confidence in just talking and leading. Because if you're someone that's quite nervous, right, and you get nervous doing that, this is perfect training for you. Because for me, it's like practice, practice, practice. The more I led kickoff calls, the easier they become. The more I did these kind of videos, the easier it became, right? And I'm still not even there yet. Like I don't think I talk the most eloquently or the most, you know, great. I still fumble on my words and stuff like that. But if you're able to push yourself and get yourself out there, then yeah, it's a really good experience for anyone who wants to become a project manager, especially in the creative games and digital, you know, that type of sector. And it's good because it can you don't know where it can lead. For me, you know, all my experience, I started off in print, right? Just when I say print, like managing the project life cycle for like a brochure or a print magazine. So that was quite tricky. Yeah, every life cycle for a project is tricky and different and has its nuances and stuff. So yeah, this is what you would do with me, and we work on the brief from start to finish. There are 3 types of projects: design, illustration and video animation. Video animation is going to be the most fun, I would say. The longest project, 20 days, and you work through the storyboarding and yeah, the game capture. So that's like just where in a real studio you work with a game artist who would record the actual game, and then that goes into videos. I don't know if you've seen on TikTok, you might see like a video for a game and there's actually like a recording of the game in the video. Maybe I'll show one of those tomorrow, and tomorrow's cool. Um, but yeah, so it's really fun. And game, I think animations were probably my favorite type of projects, I would say, video animation, as well as illustration, to be honest. Design, a bit more easier because the duration of those projects are much more shorter. But yeah, anyway, I'll stop rabbiting on now. And I hope you found this valuable. If you did, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and I'll be back for another video tomorrow. All right, my guys. See you later. Bye. Now, how do I stop the live? Okay, bye, guys.